Welcome to one of the first installments of Psychology 101. My name is Charlie. I am the CEO of Set the Destroy X. A lot of people have been asking me, primarily over the last couple of years here, about the financials behind having a Call of Duty team, the money behind an organization, having a team that's competing at multiple events throughout the year. And I thought it was really important to break down some of the financials because a lot of teams that I was noticing were going to one, maybe two events, and management was ultimately failing. The organization was failing. They were having a difficult time investing, finding investors, getting sponsor support. And I thought it was really important for me to share with you, some of the figures behind having a Call of Duty team, whether it's an AM or possibly even a pro. Once again, I'm going to speak primarily from being one of, I'd like to believe, a top AM organization. And I think having some of these numbers and just having a general outlook of how everything could work is going to lead you to a better decision whether this is something that you should invest in or not. Ultimately, it's very difficult to make money in Call of Duty. By all means, you can pool all the resources together before, an online qualifier for instance, like COD World League, or what happened back in Major League Gaming with seasons. Get multiple teams together or get a whole bunch of great players together, and hopefully you make it to that league or that spot, and then ultimately sell your team, or you stay in that and then you develop it further from there. So once again, it all depends on, are you doing it for a short-term gain, which can be very successful. There's already a couple instances that happened here, not only in New Zealand and Australia, but also here even in North America, that happened just with the COD World League in January. So for instance, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about having a Call of Duty traveling team that's going to be going to anywhere between 8 to 12 events per month. Per year. So when we look at, Call of Duty teams and the money behind it, I broke it down into 3 different sections for you here today. Now, once again, these are all different variables based on your situation. This is merely a guideline and a reference for you to have a general understanding behind the key aspects of what you need to do to have a traveling team. So once again, the essentials, and these are all US dollar facts. This is all per event. So this should give you a pretty good synopsis of to what, you're going to be looking at. For instance, a Call of Duty pass, under the essentials there, a pass is going to run you anywhere between $300 to $500. Right now, and the reason why I say I give a range is because, you can buy an event or you can buy a pass, which is going to be $360, $380, maybe $350. And then for you to bump up to the VIP pass, it's going to knock it up to $500. And the reason why I also put $500 is at some point, probably later this year or early next year, passes will begin to be getting a lot higher. One, they want to make more money. Who doesn't? And at the end of the day, you're still going to have 120, 130, 140 teams that are still going. At the end of the day, it's a business, and they're going to take as much money from all of us as much as whenever they can, right? So that number will increase. Jerseys ultimately, 4 people, and maybe one for your owner or manager, whoever's going or might attend. You're looking at $150 to $200, one jersey per person. Hotel depends on, if you're staying 4 nights. If you're starting out with your organization, starting out with your team, there's a lot of teams that only, supply 2 nights, maybe 3 nights. Really, when you start getting to having better teams, you're going to want 4 nights because they're going to come in on Thursday. They're going to get all settled, comfortable, relaxed after their travel. Some people travel anywhere between 3 to 10 hours, right? So it makes sense for them to kind of unwind and not be so stressed. Instead of, arriving Friday afternoon, signing in, getting a little bit of practice and playing, possibly 2, 3, 4, 5 games Friday night. So once again, it all depends on your situation. Now, if you're a brand new team, ultimately you might not even want to have the hotel into this situation, right? If it's a brand new team that has no history, no results, no pedigree, if you will, it might only make sense for you to invest in the pass and the jersey. right? Because you don't know what you're going to get out of that team. Or for instance, maybe, look at what just happened here in November. You're going from, an old game, AW, into a brand new game, Black Ops 3. And you're switching not only games, but you're also switching consoles, going from Xbox One to PS4. You might even want to say to your established team at that point in time, saying, hey, you know what? Let's evaluate the first event here to see if you're even worth us, looking at a hotel for you. Right? So there's a lot of different variables that you have to play into your decision-making process. At the very least, as you can tell here, if you're doing pass and you're doing jerseys and you're doing hotel, you're looking at a minimum of $900 US just for that one event. Now, what I suggest, and once again, this is different for everybody, is the team requirements for you to do this would be anywhere between kind of like a 20 to 49. Now, the crazy thing that I see these days is you have brand new brands and brand new teams and organizations that are willing to give all of these essentials and non-essentials to teams that have no pedigree and no history, no background, and might have one decent player on it or one ex-pro from, COD 4, or, someone that maybe has a little bit of LAN experience, but not the entire team. And then that organization is giving flights and, getting a VIP pass and, getting them a whole bunch of apparel or sponsor goods. You can do that, but you're only setting yourself up for failure, right? At the end of the day, this is a business and you have to manage your wallet as much as you have to manage your team, as much as managing your own decisions, right? If you're picking up a team that has no pedigree and you don't know what you're going to get, it's all about trying to lower your risk and increase your yield, right? And if you can't do that, then you're already failing your brand. You're already failing your team, right? Because if your team does well and you can't afford the next one because you just spent a whole bunch on that first event, you're going to fail, right? Maybe your team does really well. Maybe they don't. And now you have to go and find another team. And then that next team is going to expect you to give them the same thing because you just did that, right? So it all depends on how you perceive, right, the environment around you, the players that are going to be going there, let alone their history, their current status, and what you're banking on them to do for the future. And there's a whole bunch of other intangibles that go into, what you're providing for a player. Are they a streamer? Are they a YouTuber? Or, are they active on social media? Those things are very important to an organization, an owner, an investor, a sponsor, right? And all those things play a factor into your decision-making process as well. Let's talk about the non-essentials here as well. So some teams, that might place anywhere from 10 to 24, right? Let's say they've had even placings in top 24. That team or that captain of that team might say, hey, I want a VIP pass. I want to upgrade the pass to a VIP pass. I do need help with my flights and travel. I need, and it's crazy enough. Some players ask for food, for food vouchers. You might want to get them more apparel than just the jersey. You might want to get them a hat, a sweater. You might want to get them a sweater. You might want to get them pants. I don't know, shorts. And then you might want to get them sponsor goods. So whoever your sponsors are, or non-sponsor items. Now, I'll give you an example. Set the Destroy X has many sponsors here because we work our butts off. And I like to think that we're extremely professional in what we do and how we do it. But at the end of the day, every one of my sponsorships is completely different than perhaps someone else that has the same sponsors. You know what? And each sponsor I have a different contract with each one of my sponsors, right? So Scuff might say, all right, well, here's 6 controllers for the first 6 months. And then you have another team that's coming in. Well, now you have to deliberate, hey, yeah, we're sponsored by Scuff, but maybe I already spent that product in my earlier first 6 months, and now I have to go buy that product. So it's about managing expectations and managing your own sponsors and managing the product that you have, right? So if your sponsor gives you a whole bunch of product, right, are you going to go blow that in the first money? Product is money, right? And if you're using it now, then that's something tangible that you're losing right away. Right? So that you can't use that. It's better to have what you don't need than to need what you don't have. So at the end of the day, you have to manage all of these different things. Because if you don't have those sponsor products, or you have to ask for your sponsor only maybe gives you 50%, and you have to spend 50% for the other part of what you need, it's money out of your wallet. It's more money. All these things tax you, right? The next aspect that I want to talk about here, and once again, the non-essentials, look at the minimum right there. If you're looking at per event, apparel that's $100 per person at the very least, sponsor products that, one scuff is going to run you more than $100 per person, right? It all depends on what you need, right? They might ask for G Fuel. They might ask for Control Freaks. They might ask for jerky. And you know what? Most sponsors can give you that based on your relationship. But if it's a new relationship, chances are they're not going to give you all that product. Chances are they're not paying you a fee unless you're a well-known organization or you're doing X amount of more things than just saying, hey, I have a traveling team. Give me your money. Give me your product. Give me your help. What are you doing for them? It's a two-way street. Flights and travel, that can run anywhere from $200 per person to $1,000 per person, right? Depends on where you're traveling, who you're traveling with, what time you're traveling, right? So it's all of those factors play a huge part in your decision-making process once again. And VIP pass. No one cares if you have a VIP pass. The only part of having one is that you get to have like a neck bracelet, hang out with a couple pros. That's it. Maybe you get to have some exclusive G Fuel or Control Freaks or see, the Jerky XP dog. Those are all great things, but is it essential for your team to win? No, it's a luxury, right? Once again, manage your money. Now, if your team, or you're going to be going into a team that is, well established, extremely credible, amazing pedigree, whether that's just in the past couple events, they have a league spot, or maybe they have a season, or they've been invited to something that like an invitational, or going to another invitational from another country. Once again, these are all huge things that factor into what you're doing with your team. Something that I haven't even personally had a lot of experience with, in having essentially like a top 16 team or a top 10 team, right? But once again, it doesn't mean that I don't know this, and I understand the business side of it very well. So for instance, a lot of teams and a lot of players ask for credits, right? If you're a player, you were playing in the 2K and the 5K, maybe a 10K whenever it came up. You were doing those things throughout each single week, which is going to run you $100 per week, right? Per player. So it's $400 per player per month. That's $1,600 at least right there for credits. Now, once again, a lot of things have changed here with MLG, and I'm sure that something's going to be changing, with Activision coming in and doing everything that they're going to be doing very shortly. And once again, everybody wants to make money, so something will happen. And salary can run you $10 to $16,000 per month, right? And I'll talk about that here in a second. But then the other aspects here is, contracts. If you're getting to this part, you definitely need to have a lawyer. You need to go through your contracts. You need to make sure that your team's accountable. Because if it's not, then you're running the risk of either losing your team. And there's built-in things that happen with that, like built-in rules, even that Activision has and ESL has, and, that safeguard, the organization a little bit. So that, the players can't just screw over the organization. Some players even ask for an internet allowance, per month, so that they can increase their upload and download so that it doesn't hinder the team online. A lot of players ask for equipment. Can you get me a webcam? Can you get me keyboard and mouse and, a monitor? And those things can rack up, $2,000 per month at the very least as well. And if it's a great team, obviously you want to get all that stuff, and you're going to have sponsors, and you're going to have developer support that's going to help you with salaries, and you're going to have huge sponsor support that's going to be coming in and providing that relief for you. So once again, when you start looking at a great number like 14,200, that's all of those things combined. If you didn't have sponsor support, or you didn't have league support, or developer support. So all of those things play a factor. And the thing is there wasn't any developer support really until this year, right? So you had a lot of teams and a lot of major organizations that were maybe not close to this number, maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher, and ran on that through sponsorship money, right? Or through private investors, right? And those things do happen. And once again, these are all things that I know from hearsay and being involved with pro players and pro organizations and CEOs and just my dealings as well. And I'm sure that there's more things that you can add to this list, and I'm sure there's things you can take away from it as well. the main thing that I really wanted to focus on today was the essentials and the non-essentials, because that's where the bulk of the Call of Duty community is, right? That's where 95% of us, 98% of us live, breathe, are born and die. Where you're always going to be in that 16 to 100 range. And I get a lot of questions about, how did you start your brand? How do you do this on a monthly basis? You have to understand that, this is $900 plus $25.50, right? Each event. Let's say you were doing the non-essentials and the essentials each event, right? And let's say the sponsor was coming in and alleviating 25 to 50% of that. That's still 50%, right? So roughly, let's just call it $2,000, $1,500 or $2,000 each event. So you have to, minus your mortgage, your car payments, your insurance, whatever you're paying for food, your bills, your expenses, right? All of these things, factor in. And then whatever's left over, you have to have that amount almost on a monthly basis to survive the essentials and the non-essentials of being an owner, an only CEO, or an investor, right? And if you don't have that amount, then you already know that in X amount of months, right, it's a finite number that that your team and your brand and your Call of Duty history or your future is going to fail, right? Because you can easily do the math and figure out, well, this is how much I'm making per month. This is how much I'm spending per month. There's an event almost every single month now with MES, UMG, and MLG / this whole ESL and Activision COD World League. There's almost an event every month, and that's forgetting the locals. Whether it's eBash or AGN or whatever ones you want to throw in there, there's a million locals, right? So it's money, and the other side of it is, to me, there's no difference if you get 16th or 40th. The only difference is that player gets to go on social media and say, well, I won 2 more games than you, right? And I placed top 16 at an event. It's only advantageous for that individual, right? Or for you to say as an organization, well, I got 16th. At the end of the day, it makes the owner no money. It makes your sponsor no money. It's brand awareness, great, right? Maybe you got on main stage once for an hour. That's it, right? You have photos, you have videos that you can share on social media. You can say, hey, thanks, sponsor, that's what we've got. But what else are you doing that's adding value to your brand other than saying that you're going to that, right? And that's why, I won't go out. To me, I'll either be just an essential or I'll either be going for the extras. I've had several major pro teams that have come to me and say, hey, you know what, just pick us up. And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, anybody can have a top 12 team if you want to go spend the money for it. You can. You can easily do that. It's just, what do you want to do, right? And I'll probably live and die, in the essential side and a little bit of the non-essential side, because I understand the value of the dollar and what we're going to get out of it. And chances are, it's very, very difficult to crack that top 10. It's very difficult to crack the top 16, right? It was easier back in the day, and now it's getting more difficult with the youth movement that's coming up right now, and obviously 18 plus, and with the amount of teams and organizations that are doing it right now, it's very difficult to make money. And today's conversation is about how to manage your money, spend your money, what the dollars are behind it, because this is a monthly basis that's a draw on you that you 99.9% will not see a return, right? There's a very small group of individuals that make money, and it's more of a system to keep the people at the top and keep the people below them, right? And to feed that whole top group, right? I have a passion for Call of Duty, which is why I do it. I don't mind losing the money because I want to go to each and every event. I love it. I love the people that I'm surrounded with. I love my team, right? But at the end of the day, is my team going to be top 10? I don't know. They work hard. They're a great team. But if you look at the statistics, chances are they're not. Right? And that's not a knock about my team. That's a knock about most teams. It's very, very difficult to crack top 10, right? And that's just being realistic about it, right? It's very, very difficult to get past that level. and then sustain that level. And even if you crack top 10, you're still not making money, right? It's crazy, right? So it's, you have to evaluate, is this something that you can weather and sustain on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis? For instance, Set the Destroy X has been to every single event in the last 2 years, other than one, right? Do I have a top 10? No. Other than, your Michigan eSports and stuff like that. We don't have like a top 10 at a UMG or an MLG, all right? But I love going to them. I love having a team. I love having that because I know my numbers. I know what I'm making. I know what I'm investing. I know what my sponsors are doing, right? And I know I've crunched all the numbers for me to understand this and everything else that I'm doing outside of my organization. And that's what you need to understand. You need to sit down, go through the pros and cons and say, are we doing this for a month? Or are we not? If you can't do this for 8 events out of a year, then don't do it. Take your money and go to a major organization, right? I don't know if you have to go to an Optic or an Envy. Obviously, chances are they probably don't want that. Not to say you can't try, but go to a major AM and support that. For an organization that's done it for 3 to 5 years, 6 years, right? That's sustained it, that understands the business. Put your money into that and be a general manager or be a VP of ops or go in there and be a marketing manager or an investor of that group and have a greater chance of having a potential return on your investment and being a part of something that at the end of the day is going to be a hell of a lot easier and something that you're going to be able to be a part of and say that you are a part of. At the end of the day, we all, have that entrepreneurial spirit. But at the end of the day, the majority of you all fail, right? And I could fail too. I'm not saying that I'm better or anything like that. That's not what this is about. It's just I started 6 years ago and you didn't. Many of you didn't, right? And the ones that started earlier. And I feel that way too. There's, look at Optic, look at many other organizations that started years before me. And I wish that I started before them, right? So I even feel that sometimes too. I think it's important that you realize where you are and what you should be doing and what you can be doing. And it all comes down, unfortunately, it's being dictated by your wallet, right? And if your wallet can't weather that, then you need to look at alternatives. Are you going to join another organization? Are you just not going to do it at all? You can try and fail. And this isn't to deter people from not following their love and passion for esports or gaming or Call of Duty or any genre or game. This is merely just to show you the numbers behind it so that you educate yourself and can potentially make some better decisions of what you should do with your own money and hopefully make some money too. So once again, this is an installment here of Psychology 101. Hopefully you guys found this useful. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it in the comment box below. I'm joining here from the SGDX house. We have a content house here, and we're exclusive partnership with World Gaming and Cineplex Movies here in Canada. So very, very huge opportunity for us, and very excited about that. More to that coming here in later videos. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsors, Logitech G, Arazi, Scuff, G Fuel Jerky XP, and Control Freaks. Those are our major sponsors. Use discount code STDX. And once again, guys, we'll see you later.